St. Thomas Aquinas?
Yeah, no, St. Thomas definitely has the name. I think St. Thomas would beat them just as bad. So to me, that's 6 of one, half dozen of the other.
Well, that's true, but I guess it would at least be a fresh matchup.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, that's true. But, IMG has to find games anywhere. They're willing to travel. They have, like I said, they have to find games because they don't have a state playoff. They don't have a conference. They don't have anything. St. Thomas doesn't shy away from anyone for sure, but they don't have to worry about filling a full schedule, and then they also have to worry about playoffs. So it's not as much. I'd like to see a team that was maybe a little bit closer to Hoover that could drive over there where it wouldn't be the problem, like maybe like a Columbia maybe.
I did look at that. I think it's like a 7 or 8 hour drive. It's not always ideal, but it's not impossible either.
Yeah, that would be a type of a game where it would definitely be competitive. Although I think Columbia this year, if those two played this year, Columbia would probably take them down, by double digits.
This would have been the year to play Hoover.
Yeah. For sure.
Because I know, we're not going to... Our quarterback that's a USF commit, he's graduating this year. Our receiver, main receiver's graduating. Top defender's graduating. So, I don't know if next year would be the best time for us to be trying to go play Hoover, but I don't know. I guess we can always... Maybe something works out in the future. I do feel like that sooner or later, Columbia's going to be in a situation where they're going to have to start going further and further to get some games. Yeah,
definitely. They're going to have to get out of their comfort zone, and it stinks that the trip to Colquitt wasn't an official game. They came
here.
That would be a great one. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, Colquitt coming there. Wasn't an official game to put it on the record books, and so there was no excuses of it being preseason and yada yada yada. So
kind of like what IMG did last year.
Oh yeah, the infamous IMG Columbia game of last year.
Again,
they put a banner up in the rafters for that one.
Well, I'll put it this way. I still have the game, the full game. I can show people, and I'm anyone that questions whether or not that game proved that Columbia can hang with elite teams, just watch and listen to every single national top player like Trey Sanders, Noah Kane, Nolan Smith have their name announced on a play during that first half.
Oh no, it definitely wasn't like a backup type game. It definitely made my radar from a national ranking standpoint, but it's really hard to put value in those games. I think it said more about Columbia than it did about IMG.
That's also another thing. I know Columbia, they're going to have 2 open weeks very early in the season for next year. If I remember correctly, week 3 and week 4. Georgia has to do their new scheduling for next year. So I guess technically they could turn that Colquitt game into a regular season game if both teams wanted to fill a regular season game instead of a kickoff classic.
Yeah, for sure. I would love to see it as a national pollster. I love all of the out-of-state games because it definitely makes it easier for us to at least be able to, easy chain, but just kind of just have data points to go on. If every state only played themselves, like they did mostly in the past, you never know, you never know who could beat who. But every year it seems to be more and more huge out-of-state matchups, and while I know like not everybody necessarily the traditionalists love it, person it definitely helps.
I know we must, like you were saying, a lot of focus goes on the out-of-state games, but there's a couple of interstate games between other teams. Starting with this week, I saw two of them, one from California, one from Ohio. You got St. John Bosco at J. Sierra, and then St. Ignace, Ohio at St. Edwards.
Yeah, Bosco is coming off that shocking survival. I mean, is about the best word I can call it against Servite, where Servite missed multiple easy kicks, and Bosco got the 1-point win. That one came out of nowhere. And then last year, Sarah actually played them very, very tough. So it's interesting, but I mean, I actually dropped Bosco a spot this year. I mean, this week in the national poll, just not that I don't think they deserve their ranking, but at some point you do have to go off what they've shown, and that game was not their best. If they could easily come back, fired up this week and beat up on Sarah, who's a good team. Sarah's definitely like a top 50 national team, so it'll be interesting to see if they trounce them or if they somewhat struggle again. I think if they struggle again, it would be time to start worrying if that modern day Bosco game is going to live up to all the hype. As far as the Ohio, the Holy War, Ignatius, it is the classic rivalry game. So you never know what can happen, but I would be surprised if Ed doesn't pull it out.
Well, I will mention with St. Bosco, that the fact that they had a close call next week, I'm actually going to go bold with that one. I'm going to think that they're going to come out fired up, ready to completely shred through Sierra. I don't think they'll shred through them, but I do think it'll be a pretty big victory, maybe even like 21, 24-point win.
Yeah, I would say if they don't, then there's definitely we're going to have to worry if they're as good as we all thought they were. Obviously they're great, but are they national title great, or are they just really, 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 really good? Because like you said, this bounce back game, they should be fired up. They should be able to win by 20 plus.
I believe St. Ignace, they beat Rockledge very good this past week. I think they're going to ride that momentum and pull out the win on the road for this for the Ohio game.
We'll see. I definitely, it's one of the expert pick'em picks, and I will definitely have St. Ed's.
Week 9 will have two pretty big Florida games. One of them I had listed already, but you brought up another one. I guess we'll hit up the one that you brought up. Deerfield Beach versus St. Thomas Aquinas next week.
Yeah, I think from a national standpoint, that game's going to show us a lot, even though a lot of people gave up on Deerfield after the first couple weeks, but they have Michael Pratt playing quarterback now. He was out those first few weeks, and a lot of people weren't even sure. He was a late in the summer, or midsummer, late summer transfer, and people were wondering why he even transferred, because he was committed, and he went to a school with a quarterback who was already committed to Southern Miss. And we talked before, apparently the coaches thought they needed an upgrade, and they thought he was an upgrade, and so far he's shown to be an upgrade. So I think Deerfield Beach is a different team with him. I think that Aquinas should still win, although they do throw a stinker in every now and then, in the regular season. And while I'll definitely be picking them, I would not be absolutely shocked if Deerfield Beach pulled it out. And of course, if they do, that all but ends St. Thomas's national title hopes. But St. Thomas's national title hopes likely come down to the 7A title game, which will likely be against Lakeland, I would guess, a rematch of last year's game.
Yeah, I see that being the most likely result. And ironically, you mentioned that Aquinas sometimes has a stinker in the regular season. Very often, it's been probably one of two teams. It's been Miramar and it's been Deerfield Beach. Those two seem to always pull that upset every now and then on them. So if it's going to be someone this year, I would not be surprised if Deerfield Beach is that team that pulls that upset.
Yeah, the teams that can match up with them athletically, nobody's going to match up with St. Thomas Aquinas like on the exact same level, just because they do have so many great athletes. But the teams that actually, are at least in the same general range of them usually give them trouble. A lot of that either comes down to the quarterback play. They haven't really put a great quarterback on the field in years, and they don't really seem to have a great one this year. And, Roger Harriet has not proved to be the greatest X's and O's, guy. So, like I said, I wouldn't be completely shocked. I don't think it's going to happen, but I think Deerfield is definitely has the talent that, could pull it off.
Another Week 9 game, we were mentioning a little bit earlier about Columbia having to go a little out of their comfort zone, and I guess in a way, they kind of did. They're going to face Atlantic Delray Beach, and this is also going to be the first ever matchup between Columbia and a Palm Beach County team.
Yeah, Atlantic Delray, there was a lot of people super high on them coming into the year, especially after I think it was the preseason. I think it was a preseason kickoff game, right?
Yeah,
it wasn't
kickoff classic. They beat Deerfield Beach in a close one.
Yeah, so there was a lot of people that were very, very high on them after that, and then, but as we've mentioned, that that didn't have Pratt, and it was a kickoff classic. But then they played Chaminade, Madonna, and lost, and then that Clearwater loss last week threw a little more water on that hype train. So I would think Columbia should pull that one out.
Yeah, I feel like before the season, I actually had this pegged as the most likely team all year that would probably beat Columbia. And as the season gone on, I'm actually starting to lean more towards Columbia actually winning this game. I think it'll be probably like a 7 to 10 point type of game in Columbia's favor.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I think there's definitely a path for Columbia to win the 6A title now that Miami Central appears to be down a little bit. I guess you also would have to worry about Naples in that, but I think the Tigers can definitely be excited that there is definitely a realistic chance, which is something maybe the diehard fans thought was a possibility at the beginning of the year, but I think most outside observers would say, even though they knew they had a decent team, that the state championship wasn't the likely outcome.
Out of slight curiosity, if Columbia were to go like 15-0, how high do you think they would climb like in most national polls?
I think if they go 15-0, and it would obviously come down to the title game.